Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, epidemiologist, biostatistician, faculty member. And in this segment, I'm going to be going over a demonstration to show you precisely how to run a dummy-coded regression. So when I mean by dummy coding, in this segment, I'm going to be going over something called uh, basically something that converts a multiple regression to a dummy coded variable so that you can discern additional meaning from this. Let's go ahead and get started. When you're dummy coding, you have to select a adequate variable for this, and I'm using the Afrobarometer dataset. There's a lot of social variables that are in here and very important to take a look at. So for the variable country by region variable, what are the values? So one method of looking at this is to refer to a code book. That's one way to determine what the variables are. Now, if you're looking at the categories of variables, a couple things to look for. One, what you're looking for is a variable that has more than two categories. Why? Um, the reason being that you are able to, in a two-category format, having dummy coding doesn't really add meaning to the analysis. What you would have to do is therefore look at a variable that has more than two categories. So does that, take a look, does that meet the qualifications of dummy coding? Well, yes, because you have four categories and the dummy coding variables will be created from three of those. So the first thing you want to make sure that you know, and the reason I'm showing all of this is because you can't just jump into conducting analyses. You have to actually do the preparation work so that you know precisely what you're looking for, and then the rest is gravy. So I'm just going to say you might want to select another reference category. I'm just going to say North Africa. That's value 4 is what I'll use as the reference category. So now that I've decided on everything and kind of contextualized everything, now I would like to actually convert some of this to dummy coding. So how do you do that? You basically go into transform, and then when you go to transform, you recode into different variables. And remember, we selected North Africa. So let's go to country by region. We can do Southern Africa, and we can just call it South. Now, I don't want to confuse anyone with South Africa, so maybe we can name this. This is for your sake only. Make sure that this is descriptive. Let's take a look at old and new values. And how would I know that is because, well, I would recommend that you write this down somewhere, or basically when you have this window open, take a look at what is South Africa. So Southern Africa is number 3. And I'm going to show you why that's important. So basically, all the other categories you turn into 0. So 1 becomes 0, and then you add. 2 becomes 0, and then you add. And then 3 equals 1. 3 is 1, and then add. So as you can see, you have, so this is dummy coding for Southern Africa, like I said. And why didn't I include 4? Because 4 is the reference category. So let's see what happens here. We're creating Southern Africa, and everything is correct. Select OK, and then we have actually created a dummy variable for Southern Africa. So let's take a look here. So this is, again, the variable view for those that might be getting used to SPSS and haven't used this before. So this is Southern Africa, and then let's take a look at another variable, another dummy variable that can be created. Again, you have to kind of have quite a few things in mind, so you might want to write this down somewhere so that you can know what category is what. Again, North Africa was the reference category. We just did Southern Africa. Now we have to do West and East Africa. So let me quickly go through that and then show you the results. And you can kind of pause the video and take a look at what was done. All right, so again, you go into transform, recode into different variables. Now we are looking at, let's just do West Africa first. Go ahead and select change after that, and then we're going to say old and new values. And basically, you can just change these to say that, for instance, now we're saying 1 is West Africa, so we can just remove this and say that 1 is 1, 2 still remains 0, and then we got to change 3 so that it says 0. Then add, continue, OK, and you're able to actually take a look at what was created. And we'll do that in a moment here. So one more time, we got to do Eastern Africa. That's what is remaining. So you click on this in order to change, and then take a look at East Africa, and then select change. That will change the output variable, old and new values. We're now finally we're going to go into 2 being 1. You might not be able to do this because this already exists. So let's remove this first, and then now convert 2 into 1. And then the rest of them, just like the pattern that I've been following previously. Let's remove this, and then turn 1 into 0. And again, basically the value, the category from the original variable that you are interested in always becomes 1. So this was, again, 2 was East Africa, and we can confirm that by taking a look here. And 2 indeed was East Africa. So we labeled all of these accurately. Again, I want to make sure that you have the right categories and you're naming them properly, because if you don't really name them in a descriptive manner, then you'll lose track of what category and what variable is dummy coded. So you're basically done with the dummy coding here. You can take a look to see if this was done accurately, and the way to do that is to now switch over to data view. And once you do that, you take a look and see if there's kind of alignment between between the original variable in Southern and Western Africa. Seems like we didn't do one of these here. So again, country by region, 4 was the reference category, and 1 and 2 we did. I believe 3 we might not have done. So again, go to the variable view, and this is very common mistake. So we really haven't done Southern Africa, or we haven't done West Africa. So let's just go ahead and quickly do that. So what I ended up doing is I ended up creating, in the same way that I showed you, I ended up creating 3 other dummy coded variables. Now, remember 4 minus 1, 3. So that's the number of categories that you have. And the reason being is that one of these categories is actually a reference category. Let's take a look in this data view to make sure that we did everything correctly, just as a cursory look. So as you can see, West Africa and East Africa are indicated at 0, Southern Africa is 1, and the reference is Northern Africa. So I'll give you the interpretation in a moment here. Let's make sure, take a look at multiple rows to see if that makes sense. All right, so now that we're going to be going through a regression analysis, you should be able to interpret the analysis fairly simple. So we go into linear regression and then take a look at all of the different variables that are out there. I mean, honestly, you can turn anything into a outcome variable as long as it is continuous. So we can just use problems with public health clinics, and higher the problem, the worse everything is, higher the value. And then we could just put in the region, and maybe we can include age as a category, age as a variable as well. So these are all the independent variables. This is the dependent variable. Now, some of the statistics you might want to kind of change. R squared sometimes is important value. And you can actually go through these plots and figure out these residual plots that you may need to kind of map out to see if all of your assumptions are met. Anyway, we're not good. This is not a video on assumptions. So here it is, and let me just select OK, and then we'll take a carefully look at what the model shows. So here's the unstandardized beta, and what that means is that basically compared to another variable, and let me actually return here and kind of modify this. So linear regression, Western Africa, Eastern Africa, Southern Africa, and then problems with problems. So in conclusion, what this is showing is that you're comparing the mean. So each of the coefficients that you retrieve. So as you can see here, here's some of the coefficients. So you look at the unstandardized coefficients, and basically the reference value is North Africa. So that's the reference value. So basically what this is saying is that the mean of trust in government is 1.1. So the trust in government in East Africa, the mean of that is 1.14 more than what is in Northern Africa. Similarly, South Africa, the mean is 1.20 more than Northern Africa. So basically Northern Africa is the reference category, and then you have these dummy-coded variables that you're comparing the mean to, and in this case, mean is trust in government. So I hope this has made some sense. Thank you for listening.